they're gonna sue you, and I would pray to God they would, because then you would deserve that type of a lawsuit. I mean, it's ridiculous how much above the law is the cult of Scientology that you're just gonna let them leave those planters there. Like, screw everyone else, screw the general public, the elderly, the handicapped. They've already expressed how much they do not care about people like that. Here in the beautiful island of Long Island, New York, we take pride in our handicapped people. We help our
Thank you.
elderly across the street.
Thank you. And we'll move next to Merchant.
Hello.
Go ahead, you have 60 seconds.
You have been addressed regarding the planters on L. Ron Hubbard Way with countless different approaches. I will try another way now with a language I know you recognize. It's called money. The following scenario is very likely. One of the many elderly people walking on LRH Way pavement stumbles on one of the illegal planters. They fall and shatter their hip. All this is documented on a video by a peaceful protester who knows you have been aware of this issue for over 6 months. This is going to result on a lawsuit, and you know who will bear the financial responsibility. I'll give you one tip. It won't be the cult of Scientology. By the way, just so you know your audience, you might not have many Zoom callers, but all these meetings have been streamed in multiple YouTube channels, and they have been reaching hundreds of thousands of people. Thank you.
Thank you, Merchant. We'll move next to Mona M. Mona?
Hello, TJ. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello again, board. It's me again, Mona. I know why you don't enforce the planners, because you would miss me coming to comment. No? Permit portal. How do you expect people to obey a law that is arbitrary? How do you play a game where the rules are not laid out and only one side knows the rules? Scientology gives the rules to LAPD, then LAPD tells the protesters. No way to look at the second page of the rules, so how do you know if you're obeying them? There is an ethics commission meeting today at noon. I will be attending, and I will be talking about how all the planners being dealt with through the BPW and city attorney's office, how they are unequally applying this law via the Venice Beach enforcement. Thank you, and I yield back my time.
Thank you, Mona. We'll move next to Yvonne.
Thank you. The minutes continue to be archived and prematurely, incorrectly written in the future tense. Please change your practicing and include the reference to the person that speaks and the topic they speak on. I want you to try to reference the Hollywood Business Improvement District's minutes. They get it right. And yet they are a shadow government agency that abuses the LAPD, the LFD, and the special events permits. And again, they are heavily loaded on their board with Scientologists. You see a common thread there? Please stop any kind of business relationship with Scientology, and that includes paying or recompensating them for volunteer
Thank you.
labor provided for.
Thank you, Yvonne. We'll move next to Adedale. Adedale, go ahead, and I've asked you to unmute, and you'll have 60 seconds.
Good morning, everybody. I'm at the point now where I am thoroughly convinced that it is not even in your hands anymore. That if you wanted to fix and change this, you cannot. That there is some level of influence above you. This is a political town after all, and I think maybe last one of you are afraid to cross that line because even the mayor's deputy is saying, "Oh, they don't know nothing about the planters," which then that means they didn't get the multitude of complaints that have come in on numerous bases. So there's something higher up than you guys. Is this what I mean? Yes, it's of course influenced and safe pointing by Scientology, but they don't have the actual power to say yes or no. So there's somebody telling you yes or no. So it's going to come out. It's going to come out. I don't know how. I don't know if it's going to be through what agency is going to have to do it, but it's going to have to be done because you guys need to be set free to do your job. I am
Thank you.
convinced now that you are not.
Thank you, Adedale. I'd like to make a quick announcement, a quick update that YouTube is now broadcasting our audio. And we'll move next to caller ending in 264, caller 818 ending in 264. Go ahead, you have 60 seconds.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes?
Yeah. Obviously, we pedestrians and handicapped people continuously are removed or obstructed from the public right of way. I mean, with my situation, it's vendors. It's not large vendors. They have no push carts because that's the only thing that's allowed on the sidewalk. These people have large structures with canopies, tables, chairs, gas grills, and they're removing the pedestrian from the sidewalk basically and putting them into the street, putting them in danger. So obviously nothing's being done. It's obviously an organized crime situation, and we need to take care of it as soon as possible for the safety of the public. Thank you.
Thank you. President Corson, I have an additional hand raised on the Zoom platform just now. Would you like me to inquire if the caller wishes to offer public comment?
Yes, please.
Caller 213 ending in 403. I see your hand raised. Would you like to offer public comment this morning?
Get all items and then general public comment.
Thank you. And that concludes public comment this morning, President Corson.
Thank you, Mr. Knight.
I said I wanted.
I removed the caller's permission to talk. Sorry about that.
Thank you. With that, we'll proceed to, we'll close general public comment for today's meeting and move on to multiple agenda item public comment. Once again, we have our City Attorney, Virginia Choi, here to ensure all speakers remain on topic, and each individual will have 1 minute per item they wish to speak on. And just clarify when you speak which items you are speaking to. Mr. Knight, please let's proceed with multiple agenda public comment.
Thank you, President Corson. We'll go ahead and start with Yvonne. Yvonne, you've indicated you'd like to speak on items 1, 2, and 3. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Number one, I understand that projects that are large have tranches of funds and these are paid in progress. My concerns are this particular project for the Metrolink extension carries ADA sidewalk improvements, but there are no sanitation facilities. Even though there are catch basins included in the project, they're going to be catching human fecal matter and urea, and that is going to enter into the ground system. In addition, the plan calls for community groups to work for the beautification of the areas. And I again want to plead with you to exclude any use of Scientology in any form in that effort. I applaud community efforts, but Scientology uses slave labor.
Speaker, please stay on
Number
topic.
two.
Item number 1 regards to 110 corridor fiber optics infrastructure project.
Number 1 was not fiber optics, that was Metrolink. Number 2, change orders are foreseeable. However, there are too many change orders that seem to be due to not having proper plans. Number 3, the fiber optics, I would like to know whether or not those fiber optics are of the nature that, if breached, are going to leach into the water cycle. In my past experience is that the fiber optics are made of toxic chemicals. That may be old technology that I'm aware of. That would be my question for the presenter. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. We'll move next to Audit LA. Audit LA has indicated you would like to offer commentary on all items. Please indicate which item you're speaking on. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to start with number one. The purple line. Yes, we definitely need that to be extended. It doesn't go far enough. I am in complete agreement with that. But where I have an issue with, and mind you, it's a love-hate thing with the newer trains. They're great. I love them, but at the same time, they're not very ADA friendly. I rode the A line yesterday, and I get in with my chair, but I can't get into the handicap area because yes, there is an opening of the 36 inches enough, but they have these metal, like I guess like little wall barriers that, for me to get into it to try to turn around into a handicap space, if there's somebody sitting on the other side, their legs and feet are there. So I just have to sit in between the two doors and try to inch up and back. Where on the original purple line, like how the purple line now and the red line are, you don't have to do that. There's plenty of room for ADA. You have you go in and there's that whole open berth for bikes, for everything. And even with bikes, I had someone with me with the bike, can't get in. It's so crowded and cramped. So going forward, I know we can't go backward, but going forward, please keep that in mind with these trains. Number two, okay, here we go again. It's always, it's like you're Santa Claus, and they come in and everyone comes in and asks for more money. Why? Because you'll never say no. You don't have a naughty list, which you need to have, and to say and sometimes no. I don't even hear thorough investigations as to why you can't stay on budget. Why can't they? Is it because what Yvonne said, that they don't plan well? Okay, then who's then if they don't plan well, then what disciplinary actions are happening for them not planning well? Is there any repercussions whatsoever for bleeding the taxpayers dry? Number three, okay, the fiber optics. Okay, we live in a very dark city. It is egregiously dark, and it's dangerous for people like me in a chair. And like the other, there's times I'm filming, people are with me for all over the world, and they see how I cannot navigate easily at night unless it's somewhere where I am extremely familiar with, because it's very dark. And so I'm hoping that these fiber optic lights, I'm not, if I'm mistaken, I'm hoping that is to replace the copper wiring lights that we have now that keep getting stolen because copper's worth something. And I wish you guys would be able to find solutions to that. Like, we should not have to live in darkness. It's not good for crime. It makes you more of a potential victim for crime. It's not good for just safety because, you can trip and fall easier. You can't see where things are coming. So something needs to be done with these lights. As much as as urgently as the planters have been my issue, the lighting has to be the issue too.
And that's
at
3
night.
minutes. Thank you, Audit LA. President Corsand, that concludes the multiple agenda item commenters who have established themselves as wanting to speak on multiple agenda item. We do have an additional hand raised on the Zoom platform. If you'd like, I can see if that attendee would like to provide multiple agenda item comment.
Yes, please.
And so I'm going to ask caller 213403 to unmute and identify to me if you would like to offer multiple agenda item comment this morning.
Yes, I would. And I told you before I wanted to speak in general, and you cut me off.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute because I'm unable to understand whether or not you would like to offer multiple agenda item comments. City Attorney, shall we go ahead and allow the...
Hey, motherfucker, stop violating my civil rights. I said all items.
Okay.
All items.
Go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Yeah. How come you doing that, ponytail? What's wrong, Corsand? Want to go to prison? You want to go to prison?
Speaker, please stay
Is
on
that what
topic.
you want to do?
Please speak
Because
on items 1 through 3.
Ponytail's going to put you there, my friend. Yeah, you goddamn cheated me out of my general
Speaker,
comment.
if you
You
don't
know
stay
it.
on topic regarding the
You're
items,
going to
your
go to
time will be
prison,
forfeited.
Corsand. You want to go to
Speaker,
prison?
that is your
This guy going to put
first
you...
and final warning.
You go into prison because you don't take public comment. You need to go
Mr.
to
Knight,
prison
please
if you're not going
remove
to
this
take
person.
public
They're not
comment.
saying on topic.
I've removed their permission to talk, President Corson and City Attorney Choi.
Thank you.
And that concludes multiple agenda item comments.
With that, we will close multiple agenda item public comment for today's meeting, and we'll proceed to approval of the minutes for Friday, December 6th. If there is a second to my motion to approve this item.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. There is a first from myself and a second from President Pro Tem Grant.
Very well. We'll take a roll call vote on approval of minutes from December 6th, starting with you, President Corson.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Kang.
Aye.
And Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
All ayes, and approval is unanimous.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to item number 1. In Council Districts 5, 10, and 13, revise Streets of Significance Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority's Purple Line Extension Project. And we have here Mr. Curtis Tran for a presentation from the Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioner, and board member. I am Curtis Tran with Bureau of Engineering Metro Transit Division. I'm here before you. We're requesting the board to approve the revised street of significance within the existing impact area Q for the major transit and transportation construction impact area for Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authorities, also known as Metro Purple Line Extension Project Section 1. According to our municipal code, section 62.250, the major transit and transportation impact area traffic management area, also known as TCTMC, our committee is comprised from different bureaus, from Bureau of Engineering, Department of Transportation, Bureau of Street Service, and Bureau of Contract Administration. The traffic impact from the construction activity within the designated TCTMC shall be minimized per the code. Any entity who intend to obtain permit to perform activity or work in the public right-of-way within the existing impact area and the street of significance will need to have their worksite traffic control plan reviewed and approved by the committee. In addition, we also coordinate and avoid construction conflict when there's a multiple construction work going on at same place, same location. On January 29, 2014, the board adopted Bureau of Engineering Report number 3 to implement the existing impact area Q for the Metro Purple Line Section 1 and also the City Wilshire BRT project. The construction for the City Wilshire BRT project will complete on March 18, 2016. As of right now, the Purple Line project section 1 is in construction. Metro have worked with us and request that we need to revise the impact area Q to assist the efficiency movement of the traffic and minimize disruption of the traveling public within the vicinity of the project. Metro, Los Angeles Department of Transportation and Bureau of Engineering collaborate in revising the existing impact area Q, and we have revised the map to reduce the street of significance. The removal of street, some of the street of the street of significance, sorry, per the board report will eliminate traffic lane closure fee, and applicants are currently required to pay. But the impact area still remain. The revision impact area will reduce work for city staff who regularly attend the weekly TCTMC meeting. There is negative impact to the general fund from our committee. This concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any question you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we take commissioner questions or comments, Mr. Knight, do we have any hands raised on this item?
We do not have hands raised for item 1, President Corson.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments on item number 1? Okay. Is there a motion to approve this item?
I'll move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Knight, we have a first from Commissioner Kang and a second from Vice President Chavez.
Very well. We'll take a roll call vote on approval of item number 1, starting with you, President Corson.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Kang.
Aye.
And Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
All ayes. Item number 1 is adopted, referred to council forthwith.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you too. Moving on to item number 2, Council District 4, revised budget and issue change order numbers 121, 129, 143, and supplemental agreement change order number 161, Los Angeles Engineering, Inc., 7th Street Streetscape Improvement Package 1 project. And we have Mr. George Wong here from BOE. Please proceed with the presentation.
Okay. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is George Huang with the Bureau of Engineering. The item before the board today is for the 7th Street Streetscape project. We are requesting the board to increase the construction contract ceiling and as well as issue 4 change orders for the project. The 7th Street Streetscape project is between Figueroa to San Pedro, and it consists of 11 phases of full closures to implement a new protected bike path along 7th Street within the project limits, and then also to reconstruct the sidewalk and also the curb ramps for accessibility. It also includes curb extensions and also bus islands as well. So it really enhances the transit, pedestrian, and bicycle improvements along 7th Street in the downtown area. Currently, the BOE forecasts that the existing construction contingency of 4.396 million will be exceeded based on the projected cost, the change orders that we have issued for the project. And the additional contingency being requested is to pay for the 4 change orders that are mentioned in the board report, which totals 939,959,000, as well as for extra work encountered in the field, such as sidewalk replacement and also other additional worksite traffic control plans, coordination with DOT and revisions and that were needed as part of the project. So in addition, so just really quick about the 4 change orders. The change order 129 is, oh, I'm sorry, the change order number 121 is for time extension delays. In summary, there was a lot of issues that was going on in phase 4 of the project, which was between Main Street and Spring Street. So we were trying to partner with the Department of Water and Power for them to relocate the water lines outside of our bus island improvements, and a lot of the work got rescheduled during the time when DWP was supposed to do the relocation before the project started. So as a result, they asked for exclusive use of our contractor's full closure. And at the same time, when that was ready, they also, their construction also got delayed. And as a result, there was impact to our contractors' construction sequencing. They couldn't continue working, and it impacted their schedule. As well as also with the worksite traffic control plan, or WTCP, there was the 2-phase closures we tried to implement required a approved traffic control plan from DOT, but at the same time, when we do a full closure, there also has to be another implementation on how the contractor plans to close the lane temporarily to set up the full closures. So that was something that was not part of the contract document, so that extended a lot of the construction time. So we, through negotiation with the contractor, in terms of up to phase 4 of the project, there was a lot of claims, and we bundled up all the items that the delays and extra work that the contractor was claiming and put that into change order 121. So this resolves all the issues that the contractor has up to phase 4 of the project. And then I'm sorry, when I mentioned the phases on figure 1 of the board report, it does mention the phases on the figure. So phase 4 covers Los Angeles Street to Spring Street. So currently the next 2 change orders are for bid item overruns. And in our construction bid, we typically have a bid item for removal of pavement and then also removal of everything underneath the pavement, the asphalt pavement. And in this case, it was bundled up into the same bid item. And when we were on the field, the typical thickness we usually is about 8 inches to 11 inches on our construction documents, but the field, it was more like 14. The pavement was actually 14 inches thick, and the base below that was about 17 inches on average. So in the different blocks, there were a lot of bid item quantity overages that resulted in, after all the quantities was verified and by the inspector and agreed by the contractor. So those 2 change orders are what's covered in this board report as well. And then the last one is the supplemental agreement change order. So this one is asking the board to consider increasing the contract ceiling for the project to 101% above the original contract amount. So that currently right now is 80%, and then if we issue the change orders mentioned in the board report, that would be above 80% of the original construction amount. And so in order to issue that last change order, change order number 143, then that one needs to be approved by, we need to also increase the construction contract ceiling in this request. So just to kind of recap the contingencies on this project so far, that was approved by the board was 4.396 million, with the construction contract ceiling total of 10 million, about 10.1 million. And then with this request of 1.4 million in additional contingency, that would increase the contract authorized budget to about 11.5 million. And the project right now currently we finished up to phase 7 of the project, which is just up to Olive Street, from San Pedro to Olive Street. And right now, currently, we have stopped construction, and we're working just to this board reports to capture all the costs for the work up to phase 7. And pending any, if we were to be able to request for additional funding to begin the phase 8, which is from Olive Street all the way to Figueroa, then we would still come back to the board to request for a revised construction budget in order to finish the project. So we're still working with the other city departments and the council district to find additional funding. And with that, that concludes my report, and I'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we take any commissioner questions or comments, Mr. Knight, do we have any hands raised on this item?
On item 2, we do not have any hands raised on the Zoom platform, President Corson.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? This has been a long, complicated project. A lot of discoveries underneath the streets of 7th Street. Great job. I think I'm looking forward to it actually being completed, and then maybe someday someone will open up a museum exhibit of what was discovered under 7th Street.
Yeah, we discovered a lot of basements.
With that, commissioners, is there a motion on the table for this item?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Knight, there is a first from Commissioner Mitchell and a second from President Pro Tem Grant.
Very well. We'll take a roll call vote on approval of item number 2, starting with you, President Corson.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Kang.
Aye.
And Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
All ayes, and item number 2 is adopted and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Knight, I received an email from Barbara Brody that she's still waiting to give general public comment. If she's still on, I'm okay reopening the general public comment portion to allow her 1 minute to provide general public comment.
Thank you, President Corson. Ms. Brody indicated that she wanted to offer commentary on item 4, and then has indicated now that she wishes to also offer commentary on public comment. Go ahead, Barbara. You have 60 seconds.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Before the time starts, the reason I'm asking to have general comment is because the tabling of item 4 was announced after I said that I was speaking on item 4, and since it has been removed, I wished to make general public comment. So it's not a late request. I did try to raise my hand when general comment was then called. So thank you. I appreciate this. I just would like the board to know that tabling the item is the correct thing to do, but that January 17th does not give neighborhood councils adequate time to review the lists and prepare their comments. Many, if not most, neighborhood councils are dark this month, and the first notification of these lists appeared in your packet. There was no circulation to neighborhood councils that the lists had been completed, that they had been sent to the council district offices, or that they were available for review. They are not posted on the website
Thank you.
for BS.
Thank you, Barbara. That's 60 seconds. I'm going to move next to caller 213 ending in 403. Would you like to offer general public comment this morning? Caller ending in 403, I see that you've raised your hand. Would you like to offer a general public comment this morning? This is my last attempt to make contact with you. And caller ending in 403 is not unmuting. So that concludes general public comment.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Knight. Thank you, commissioners. We will once again close general public comment and proceed to item number 3, which is in Council District 8, a joint build agreement with the California Department of Technology and Bureau of Street Lighting 110 corridor fiber optics infrastructure project. Please note, commissioners, that one of the recommendations we will be changing, and that is recommendation 6. We will be striking or designee, so it will just read authorize the executive director of BSL to make any technical or accounting updates to the recommendations above to effectuate the intent of the Board of Public Works. I'm sharing that now, as it sounds like as the Bureau has agreed to this change. So we will proceed with Dan Coricelli with the presentation.
Thank you and good morning, President Corson, Vice President Chavez, Pro Tem President John Grant. Thank you for your consideration of the item. I will be presenting on a joint build agreement before you with the state of California to build a joint use fiber optics line along the 110. My name is Dan Coricelli and I'm a senior management analyst with the Bureau of Street Lighting. It is an honor to present to you what we believe will be a transformative project for the Bureau and for connectivity within the city, and most importantly for South Los Angeles, which has the largest number of disconnected and underconnected households of any region in the state. This project will deploy the Bureau's expertise and a century of experience installing underground conduit to ensure that South Los Angeles is included in the state's Middle Mile Broadband Initiative, or MMBI. The MMBI is a once-in-a-generation investment in publicly owned middle mile fiber optics infrastructure. I'll explain what that means. A 6,000 plus mile network of affordable, open access middle mile connecting the entire state together and into the internet exchange points in Southern California and the Bay Area. That's where the main internet exchange points are in the state. A lack of affordable, open access middle mile fiber optics infrastructure is often one of the main barriers to establishing new or improved internet service for a community. A new fiber optics network installed within a neighborhood for example, or a wireless network installed in a neighborhood, anything that's intended to serve the residents of what's called the last mile infrastructure to serve the residents of the neighborhood or businesses, it can't provide that connectivity unless it has a physical high capacity middle mile, what's called the middle mile fiber optics connective, link, physical. Usually it's a tube, or it can be up on utility poles back to the IXP, the internet exchange point. So you have to actually connect that neighborhood back to the internet exchange point. And there's only a few of those, so you really have to make sure that you have a way to get. Oftentimes, sometimes for some parts of the states, hundreds of miles. Obviously, in Los Angeles, we are grateful to have a couple key IXPs. So one way to think about the middle mile fiber is as the freeways or the arteries of the internet. This long distance fiber connectivity can be prohibitively expensive to build or lease for small deployments. In a place like Los Angeles, it can be very, very expensive to build fiber optics infrastructure, especially long distance that must go in usually has to go in the roadway. You have to shut down roads. It can be very expensive to build, especially something that long, going back, tens of miles to the IXP. So what the state's doing is really changing the way this has been working in California by providing the middle mile as a publicly owned and operated, affordable, open access network. And what that will do is make possible new services from the private, nonprofit, and public sectors within the areas that it covers and reaches. I should also mention that it also can be used by the public sector to link facilities together, so it doesn't need to be just used to connect back to an internet exchange point. There's a number of different uses for middle mile fiber. With the length of the route that is before you today is 13.3 miles. A route like that going through South Los Angeles has a lot of different benefits that it could convey to the community. So the 110 corridor route before you today was not part of the original proposed network by the state, but it was included after major advocacy from local elected leadership and advocates, as well as regional county advocates. It was later removed from the network as costs increased post-pandemic. Thanks to further advocacy and leadership, most notably from the offices of County Supervisor Holly Mitchell, as well as the offices of City Council members Harris, Dawson, and Price, the solution before you today was developed, which uses the Bureau's substantially lower per mile construction costs, anything from about 50 to 60% of what the costs are in the typical costs in the private sector to build this kind of infrastructure. For installing underground conduit to make the 110 corridor route pencil within the state's budget. So without the incredible partnership and collaboration among the city, county, and state, this agreement before you would not have been possible. So I want to thank the state, county, and city partners for working to do something that was not part of the original plan, and that was, and to be honest, it was a challenge to figure out, how to make something that worked for all partners. So we appreciate the speediness that everybody's been working to make this possible to be before you today. So under this joint build agreement, the state, California Department of Technology, which is CDT in the agreements, will provide the funds for construction of the 13.3 mile line adjacent to the 110 freeway, primarily underneath city sidewalks. Physically, that line will be made up of a high density polyethylene outer conduit with, it's about that big, with 7 inner conduits bundled within it. The city will retain ownership of that outer conduit, the outer tube, and 3 of the inner tubes, one of which the Bureau plans to use for fiber optics enabled copper wire theft deterrence technology and other smart city efforts, including pedestrian safety applications that we're currently working to test. So this is not just a contract to build. This is a joint build opportunity where we will jointly be using this infrastructure, and we believe that the opportunities for using that infrastructure by the city are very substantial. Under this agreement, the Bureau will not be providing any fiber optics maintenance or emergency conduit repairs, but it has the option to enter into a joint maintenance agreement in the future. And the MMBI is being made possible by the American Rescue Plan, which is why this agreement must be completed by the end of this calendar year and why construction must be completed by the end of 2026. So we greatly appreciate your willingness to review and consider this agreement before you before the end of 2026. Using additional or earlier ARPA funds, the Bureau was able to do test deployments. We built about 3 miles of fiber optic conduit like this. And so we are very confident in both the cost and the time that it would take to build this. Now we do have new equipment that we are going to be receiving in February, a new boring machine that would allow us to build a lot faster than we are currently building. So our estimates are relatively conservative, and so building this within the 2-year time frame is not expected to be any issue. So with that, I thank you so much for your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions about this project. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, before we take commissioner questions or comments, we do have public comment in this room. So Mr. Corselli, I think you got to step aside. And we'll start with Joel Martin, and then we have Liliana. I'm going to get it wrong. Manji, if you want to, okay. If you want, please come up.
Good morning. My name is Joel Martin. I am the Community Broadband Program Manager for the Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation, which is the co-convener for the Los Angeles Digital Equity Action League, or LA Deal. I'm here to express my strong support for item 3 of the agreement between Bureau Street Lighting and State of California Middle Mile Broadband Infrastructure along the 110 corridor. This agreement will save the city of Los Angeles a significant amount of money while providing reliable, affordable broadband access to communities that need it most. The 110 corridor runs through neighborhoods with some of the highest rates of disconnected households in the state. For too long, the lack of accessibility infrastructure, affordable broadband connectivity has been limited by the internet service providers, keeping prices high and leaving families and businesses without connectivity they need. This project is also an incredible economic opportunity that will stimulate investment, support small businesses, and make it easier to connect public facilities. On behalf of LA Deal and LAEDC, we urge you to approve this agreement. Thank you.
Good morning, honorable members of the Board of Public Works. My name is Liliana de Monge. I am the Director of Digital Equity with Unite LA. We are also co-conveners for the Regional Broadband Consortium. Unite LA is dedicated, we are a nonprofit, and we're dedicated to advancing economic development through workforce opportunities in Los Angeles County. I am also here to voice very strong support for the agreement between the Bureau of Street Lighting and the State of California to build the much needed middle mile broadband infrastructure along the 110 corridor. By building an open access public middle mile network, this project will create the conditions for affordable, competitive broadband services. This connectivity will allow students to access learning resources, workers to gain new skills through online training programs, and businesses, especially small and minority-owned businesses, to thrive on a level playing field. On behalf of Unite LA, we urge the board to approve this agreement. This project represents a meaningful step towards closing the digital divide and creating opportunities for every Angelino to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Knight, do we have any hands raised in this item?
Yes, we do, President Corsan. We have Mona M. Mona M, you should be receiving a pop-up asking you to unmute. Go ahead. You have 60 seconds.
Thank you, TJ. I know that this is fiber optics, but it has to do with when you're installing the fiber optics and the lighting, maybe they can take a look at when they're tearing up the road, some of the old water pipes at the same time. I was with Audit the other night, and I was really bothered because the lighting was so bad that I'm glad she knew where she was going, because there were trees in the middle of the sidewalks. All of a sudden you'd be going along and boop, you don't know where you're going and you had to go back. So the lighting was really crucial and it was hard to navigate. So with that, I yield back my time.
Thank you, Mona. And that concludes commentary on item 3, President Corsan.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments on this item? Commissioner King?
Thank you for coming out today. You mentioned in your presentation the 110 corridor wasn't originally included in the plan. So having added this, and I do agree that it's a much needed area for equity, did that impact any other areas in terms of the scope of work in the city?
No, not within the city. I can't really speak to the state. This is it's a state project, the MMBI. It basically they had to think about projects all throughout the state, and this was it was originally, like I said, not part of the plan, but then thanks to advocacy, it was included. But then the cost to construct it, one of the things that they had to look at is whether there was existing to lease. I mean, I hate to be speaking for the state, but just to be clear, what I understand is that they had to consider whether there was existing open access fiber that they could lease, or the cost of construction. And oftentimes in urban areas, it's much more expensive than out in rural areas where you can just cut a line and put a tube in. Their estimates basically said it was prohibitive to do almost any construction in a city like Los Angeles. I mean, places like Oakland and things like that are seeing the same challenges. And so most of the infrastructure in Los Angeles is going to be leased. There are a few different construction projects, but it was really that they were able to consider this project as part of their overall budget once we brought the costs in line with what their original projections were. So this doesn't take away from another project. Definitely not within the LA. The other main routes that we'll have in LA are the 101 going out to the valley, the 405 essentially, the 5 freeway going through the valley, and along Wilshire.
And then you mentioned the construction timeline needs to be constructed by the end of 2026, correct? Given that many of us, having joined the board, heard about personnel issues, not having enough bandwidth to complete a lot of project delays. You mentioned BSL is confident that you're able to finish within that deadline, but are there any contingencies if there are any unexpected delays?
Yeah. So first of all, I mean, thank you for that question, Commissioner. A project like this can use overtime, which would drastically improves our chances of being able to use it to build this. But then also, if needed, contractors could be brought. We do have a bunch of contractors that could be used for work like this, for doing conduit work. So in other words, we have contingencies of how to meet the deadline for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner King. President Pro Tem Grant, and then Commissioner Mitchell.
I just want to recognize the work of the Public Works, and especially street lighting. The legacy of their work through the course of history enabled this project to come about when everyone else had written this off as being too expensive, but it's been the work of street lighting in particular that enabled us to move this. And I just want to recognize that. I think we should take note of the legacy, the history of this department and what it meant and what it's going to mean to providing greater equity in Los Angeles.
Thank you, President.
Thank Commissioner Mitchell.
I concur with my fellow commissioners with regard to the legacy. It is this type of a project is something that I've thought about for a very long time. And I'm glad to see that the city of Los Angeles is going to be included in this probably, no pun intended, groundbreaking project. With regard to the construction of the project will be within city sidewalks, is that correct?
Correct.
And is there any concern about funding with regard to putting the sidewalk or replacing the sidewalk in the condition it was before we start the project?
No, thank you, Commissioner Mitchell. Yeah, definitely we understand the condition of our sidewalks, and we do not want to degrade any of that. We have been, one of the nice things about having the earlier ARPA funding that I mentioned that's allowed us to really hone this approach, this building technique, is that we've been able to figure out how to really minimize the impact to the sidewalks. Our boring machine that drilled the ground ground, it makes it so that there's no need to cut anything up, and so you make a relatively small hole where the drill goes into, and the boring machine itself anchors to the ground with a few small bolts. So yes, there is some patching that needs to be done, but we have concrete crews in house that patch it to the same requirements of the sidewalks before. And so if you we've done this work now along Crenshaw Boulevard, and you can go and see the done to repair those sidewalks. So definitely we will be returning the sidewalks to the original condition.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you. Vice President Chavez.
Quick question. I mean, just looking at the extent of the communities along the 110 being some of the most underserved, and I mean, the connectivity there is going to be a game changer for them to be able to access so many things. I mean, you need it for education purposes, economic opportunities, health, even civic engagement, right? Hopefully our YouTube starts working and they can start listening to our meetings. But I'm just curious, do you have an estimate as to how many households this could potentially impact? Do we have any estimates on that? Because it's such a huge area.
Yeah, unfortunately I do in other reports. I apologize. It's in terms of disconnected households and underconnected households in the region. But within a half mile of the corridor, I believe it's something like just under 100,000 households within that that are disconnected or underconnected. I can definitely come back and give a full digital inclusion presentation around this effort. We've been really wanting to highlight this as a multi-use infrastructure, and while we're very happy to receive support from a lot of digital inclusion advocates, this is core infrastructure that will serve a lot of the neighborhoods beyond even just their home connectivity. I think is something that we really want to stress, is that in the future, the city's ability and others to provide community use connectivity, if you will. I mean, you think about Internet of Things and all these other types of uses. The bandwidth that is existing in communities, even aside from in their homes, out on the public right of way, that bandwidth is not high enough to meet all the demands that people are talking about, from connected buses, connected emergency vehicles, all those kinds of things, or just personal connected vehicles. So I think this will be a really game changer beyond the home connectivity. Out in the right of way, making sure that South LA is included in that was a big reason why we were so committed to this project. So yeah, I'm happy to get back the household numbers.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Great questions, great comments. I don't have a lot of questions on this because we've been waiting for this for such a long time. But I will reflect that in a second inaugural address, and this is something maybe you can take back to the BSL team. In his second inaugural address, though Bill Clinton talked about era of big government's over, one of the things he mentioned was that times change, and so should government in the programs we deliver. And this is something completely new that BSL endeavored on. And I know Miguel Sangalang, our GM of Bureau of Streetlights, is sitting in the back pew, not wanting to be recognized, but he has championed this and he has been worked diligently on it. And we received a public letter comment from County Supervisor Holly Mitchell attesting to the values of this program and this effort. And though it is only 13 miles, and we can talk about what that means in terms of the first step, it really is a first step in a pilot program. I just want to take a moment of commending you both and the BSL team for just continuing to take the effort and fight for this on an uphill climb, because change is tough. And even though time's changing, and government programs need to change with time. It's not always easy to implement some new strategy, and people asking questions of, why are you doing this? This is not your scope. We've never done this before, can dissuade some, but it did not dissuade Dan and did not dissuade Miguel. And we finally have this before us. So congratulations. Thank you for just not giving up and getting it here. And commissioners, if you'll indulge me, I'd like to make the motion to approve this item if there's a second. Thank you. Mr. Knight, there's a first from myself and a second from Commissioner Mitchell.
Very well. We will go ahead and take a roll call vote on approval of item number 3, starting with you, President Corson.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Kang.
Aye.
And Commissioner Mitchell.
Second. I'm sorry. Aye.
All ayes. And item number 3 is adopted and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you. Congratulations to the BSL team. We have continued item number 4.
Apologize. So I apologize for going back. Item number 3 should have been motioned and seconded to be adopted as amended.
Correct.
Did you make that?
Correct. We clarified that at the beginning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. And we have continued item number 4 for 30 days. So I believe we have cleared our desk for today, Mr. Knight.
Yes, that is correct, President Corson.
Thank you, everyone. It is 11.